When I was doing my undergrad, there
Mm-hmm.
was I think 7 women in a class of 100. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our podcast, Be Global, because we are Black, global, and
local.
yes. And today I'm joined by the beautiful Fatu.
Come on,
Hi,
girl.
girl.
Stop. Hey, y'all. This is your girl Fatu. Welcome again to another episode of BG Global Podcast. So we have this. Currently, we have this trend in which women that are working in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields, are being hired due to their diversity, and this means they are hired because they are Black, and women. So today we want to talk about that because both me and Murungi, we work in STEM, and want to talk about how we feel about this kind of trend that's going on with regards to international companies and foreign companies hiring women and Black women. So yeah, that's the topic for today, women in STEM.
And before we delve in, thank you guys for listening. We already started on YouTube. Please subscribe and follow us on Anchor too. So I'll start with the first question. Uh, which part of STEM are you in? And how do you feel about being in that part of STEM? And how did you get to be in that part of STEM?
For me, currently, I'm in IT, information technology, particularly in computer science and engineering. So I started with this since when I was in high school. I wanted to be a computer science major a little bit. So, and I continued in that. How do I feel right now at this particular point, being in the field for about maybe 7 or 10 years? I mean, one, I feel empowered a little bit because being in a field where it's dominated by men, it's not something like quite easy for
Yeah.
women to get into. You have to feel a kind of empowerment to get into something like this. Um, but also, sometimes I feel like I'm not being feminine enough. Like, I'm someone who likes to do my makeup, be in the feminine state, dresses. So being in such a field wherein like men will be wearing pants, and most of the jobs will require you wearing pants,
Yeah.
it makes me feel like I have to diminish my femininity a little bit. So and that's something like that's a kind of a disadvantage for me. Me being soft naturally. How do I balance that particular part? So yeah, that's basically how I feel working in this field. What about you?
Well, I'm in engineering. I'm a civil engineer, but now I'm focused on sustainable urban development and transportation systems. And to be honest, I am doing what I love. I wanted to do service for the people. How do we ensure that people's lives are simpler, people's lives are easier? So I'm really doing what I love. Though
Okay.
in the future, I see maybe I will not be doing like what can I say, hardcore calculation and things. That is really not what I'm so interested in. I'm more about planning, strategic planning and policy, because I feel like if we don't have those things proper, it really doesn't matter what else we do. So
Okay.
first of all, I'm happy. Like, this is something I really like.
Yeah.
Secondly, as you said, it also feels like, growing up, there are not very many women in these fields. So you being a part of the few women also makes me feel like, wow, I'm doing something good, not just for me, but also for the other women coming after me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll go back to like when I was doing my undergrad, there was I think 7 women in a class of 100.
Interesting.
So we're 7% of the class. And of course, there's challenges and things, but here we are. Here we are. So
You made it. You made it.
and we are still going for, greater heights.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, for now, I really just want to keep skilling myself. I want to
Okay.
keep doing what I'm doing, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to bring, more women on board, bring in more girls, make them more interested in
Mm-hmm.
following this because, where we come from, it's a little bit difficult with, perhaps religion, perhaps culture, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. So, what do you think is the most challenging thing in your field? You already talked about you being feminine and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What are
Yeah.
the other challenges that you have faced?
Um. Well, the first challenge basically is actually doing physical task. Um.
Do you
Yeah.
have to climb masts?
Now sometimes I have to climb like ladders. So, and sometimes I have to carry something heavy. Yeah. Doing physical tasks can be a little bit challenging for me,
Mhm.
because I feel with male colleagues they make it look easier. Yeah. So in my opinion, like I don't feel like I'm less of a like a good co-worker. It
Mhm.
just makes me feel like okay, I'm a woman. I'm I know my role. I know I cannot do this physical task like this heavy, but it's okay to let others do it if I cannot do it and do what I am good at in this particular area,
So you know
basically.
your limits.
Yes, I know my limits exactly. Um, I need to have a balance between like um, my feminine nature and also being in the field where it's dominated by men.
Mhm.
So that's actually kind of a challenge that I'm working on. Like how do I balance being a woman and being in a field that's dominated by men? And also another challenge I feel is like I said in the beginning, I feel some male colleagues feel that being a woman and especially being black, I am high because I am that kind of diversity. Like I am a woman as well as
Yeah.
black. Yes, and it kind of that's a challenge because every single day I have to prove myself that I can do the job. Actually, I'm actually smart.
Yeah.
It's my abilities that made me actually stayed in this particular job.
Yes.
So that challenge of actually having to do more to be seen and to prove yourself, I feel that's something that in general we have to discuss more within women. Like how do we
Yeah.
be in these jobs and not feel that we have to do all of that, I guess.
Mm,
So yeah, that's the most challenging part for me with regards to the job.
I
What
see.
about you?
Well, just to add on to what you just said,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel as companies are running on this diversity ticket, this inclusion ticket. Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing, but I think perhaps how they do it in the sense that they need to educate the other people to tell them, listen, it's not just she's a woman or she's
Yes.
black that she's feeling a
Mm-hmm.
quota.
Mm-hmm.
So that people feel comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
us and our abilities because as you said, we get to work a lot harder. Sometimes
True.
even people will dump on you work because they know you are trying to prove yourself. They know these things, they
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So for me, some of the things that I feel as women, we face in these fields, first of all, I don't know about you, but imposter syndrome. I think people have talked about
Uh,
imposter
the
syndrome a
imposter
lot.
syndrome. Yes. Yes.
As we said, growing up, we didn't have a lot of women in these fields. We didn't see
Mm-hmm.
women who looked like us. We didn't even see women, period. So being in a position like this, sometimes you're like, hey, am I really good enough? Even if you
Mhm.
know, but it's something we've all struggled with.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, as you said, the men sometimes they won't acknowledge your work simply because you're a woman. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and some of them will just see you as nothing else but a woman,
True,
physically.
true,
Because yeah,
true,
she's
true.
pretty, she's cute. Yo, I am more than pretty and cute. I have brains too.
For real,
And
for
then
real.
I'll give an example. This one time, back home in UG, I went to do some bank transfers and
Mm-hmm.
I had my company ID at the time. So I reached the counter, filled in the documents, gave the gentleman, the teller, I gave him
Mm-hmm.
my documents and my ID, and he looked at the ID and he looked at me and he said, I would like your real ID. I was like, what?
What does
That's
that
the ID
mean?
the company gave me. Yes. And he's like, are you sure you're a civil engineer? I'm like, why would the company give me an ID saying otherwise? Like,
Audacity.
so he was like, I know this company and I don't know, I thought maybe you were like a secretary or receptionist.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, can I get my paperwork done and move on? By the way, there's nothing wrong with being a receptionist or secretary, but
Exactly. Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
boxes that society has put us in,
Big women.
unfortunately. And
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing is that after I insisted that I needed to get my work done, he's like, so my father was also a surveyor, and do you know the difference between civil engineering and surveying? And he started saying completely stupid things. And in my mind, I'm like, you don't even know the first thing about engineering. You don't even know the first thing about surveying, but you so high on your horse that you are judging me and thinking that I am not deserving of the post that I'm in.
I mean,
So
how dare he even say that? Like, come on now. Like, we're
the
in
comfort that
different
he felt,
times.
the comfort that he felt. So women, most times we are seen just for our physical and not. I know that skills are not written on your forehead,
True,
but
true.
if my ID says so, my ID says so. You
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and I've also felt that perhaps when you interact with younger women or young girls, they'll tell you that I'm a bit scared, so they tend to shrink their abilities
Mm-hmm.
to make other people feel comfortable. And I think we see that a lot even in like meetings and stuff because again, people are not going to cut us slack. They think you're not brilliant enough.
True,
So
true,
it
true.
becomes difficult for you to express yourself. So you're like, you know what? I just want peace in this place. So I'm not going to say much. I'll just keep quiet. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
problem. And I think whoever is in leadership needs to do more,
Yeah,
encourage women to speak up, but also us as women, we must be confident in ourselves
most
to,
definitely.
to say, you know what, I am good enough to be here. I deserve to be here.
True,
And the
true.
other thing that is really close to me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just a mother, but I feel like women, we in the workspace, we don't have enough support when we become mothers, when we are pregnant, when the kids come along. I
Mm-hmm.
know right now there's a lot of companies who are, running with this thing, but this thing should have been put in place 30, 40 years ago.
I mean, especially like in Japan here, it's a little bit harder because I've had people say like when women get married, usually they'll be like, oh, you'll get pregnant soon and then you will leave. So they kind of like are a little bit biased in with
Yeah,
regards to how they treat them. They started treating them not so good. And
yeah.
I feel that's just a horrible culture, especially coming from Japan here. So
And in addition to that, you'll hear stories whereby some women were passed off for promotion just because she's a woman and she might, they say, but I think she'll put her family first. Yes, we shall put our families first, but that does not mean I will not deliver.
true,
So
true. It's all
let,
about delivering like when you are still within this particular stage,
yes,
being pregnant, taking care of family. But yeah, I think now talking about advantages and disadvantages of us being in STEM, that is my main disadvantage. Us, me, for one, like if someone feels like I am high because of diversity, because I'm black and a woman, I don't get angry or anything. I just
yes,
accept it. Yeah. Because I know for myself, I'm very confident with my abilities. Regardless, I'm going to do my job well. So
mhm,
that's just one disadvantage. And a main advantage basically is like I like the idea that women are given space, like we are included. That okay, we are going to be hired in these positions if we have the ability, and they give us that space, and that's something that I like most about it. Like
yeah,
it's an advantage.
We thank
So
them.
yeah. Actually, it's actually good, like, because they exercise in a little bit of equality in the workplace with regards to that. So see you in another episode, and thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe and follow us. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.